Speak the truth. With Carl West.
Speak the truth.
With Carl West.
Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Speak the truth.
Yeah, Carl West.
Tell everybody.
Speak the truth, baby.
Ooh.
It's a podcast for truth. Are your ears ready? For Carl West. Are your ears ready? Speak the truth. Let's go, King Farley with Carl West. Yeah, he is. Your ears. Carl West. Carl West.
Hey.
Carl West. Carl West.
Yeah.
Carl West. Carl West. Carl West. Carl West. Carl West.
Hey, what's up? It's Carl West back at you for another episode of Speak the Truth with guess who? Me, Carl West. That's right, another one of our podcasts. But before I start, I need you to help me, help you, help us. That means I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit the like button. I need you to hit the share button. I need you to ring the bell. I need you to do everything to make sure that this content that we produce here goes out far and wide. And I need for you again to subscribe. Do that for me. I don't ask for anything else, but I'm asking for that. We need these numbers. We need these numbers. So look, I'm going to get into this. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, contemplating this as a prophetic thought leader. And I've written articles about this, a few to say the least. And I believe this is really real. And that is closing the poverty gap is what's going to advance the Black community. It's not the wealth gap that's separating Blacks. It is the fact that we have not learned to close the poverty gap. And I've been thinking about this for quite a long time. Because we keep talking about all over. I keep hearing people talk about experts, scholars, financial people, educators, personalities in the media and the like, talking about the wealth gap and how we have to close the wealth gap and how big that wealth gap is between Blacks and whites and others. And as I analyze, as a business person, I analyze numbers, dollars, cents, thinking about what makes sense. And I've been pondering this again, as I stated, for quite a while. And I've finally come to the conclusion that we're running around in a hamster wheel if that is our intent, as being told to us by experts alike. Again, as I mentioned, those people, scholars, financial experts, media personalities, talking heads from everywhere. And I was once saying this, that the wealth gap has to be closed between whites, Blacks, and others. And then as I got more in tune and studying, because I'm a study of everybody, Indians, Hispanics, definitely the whites, and understanding how wealth is accumulated, passed on. And it really hit me that, again, Black people, for instance, are going around in circles when you even think that you can close a wealth gap between whites and Blacks. And here was the final analysis that really told me that. There's several situations, things that I've read, seen, talked about, heard, but here's the one. I got a good friend, white friend. He's an incredible dude. Probably a billionaire, not close to it. I know his company is worth $1 billion, but that doesn't always mean that that person is a billionaire. If the company is worth $1 billion in excess valuation, the person may not be a billionaire, so he may be close to it. But I remember having a conversation with him some time ago, and he was talking about his child, his son, that graduated from college. And he was talking about what his son wanted to do. And he explained to me what his son wanted to do after college. He wanted to go into business. And the fact that his father gifted him, listen to me, gifted him $50 million to start this business. I don't even mention what kind of business because it's irrelevant. That's not the main issue. He gifted him $50 million. And then he raised, in what they call the family and friend raise, he raised another $50 million from his family and friends. So his son, just graduating college sometime after, I don't know, he didn't give me an exact time, a year after, 6 months after, whatever, but it was after he graduated college. I don't think it was exactly after, because I think he did something else in between in terms of work. So I don't know exactly the age, but it had to be somewhere 23, 24, 25. He gets $100 million gifted to him to start a business. In my mind, I ain't gonna tell you what the business, because it's not irrelevant again. It's not relevant. But the business, in my mind, I could have started that business for $1 million. I could have started that business for 500,000. I could have started that business. I would have prospered tremendously in that business if I'd have had 2, 3, 4, 5 million. This young man had $100 million gifted to him. The back end of the story, two parts of it. One, it didn't work. Business faltered after maybe 4 or 5 years. Just didn't work out right for whatever reason. I ain't gonna go into that. But the other end of that, on the back end, of course, when he told me that initially, I almost fell out of my chair. Just because I know what I know I started my business with zero money. And I'm in my 25th year of being in business. Just being in business, to me. And it made me think about the wealth gap between black and white. How many black folks can and would, and we got millionaires and a few billionaires, we got a ton of millionaires, but how many millionaires would have felt comfortable enough to, first of all, invest $50 million of their own money into their son or daughter to start a business, and then they would have also felt comfortable enough to go into other friends and families to raise the other $50 million. So let's just get away from that. Let's just stay with the $50 million that he gave out of his own pocket. How many black people, and a lot of them probably have capital, a lot of money, I can't tell you what they working with in cash flow, but would have thought about giving a child $50 million, even $20 million to start a business. At that point is when it finally hit me. We would never even become close to closing the wealth gap between black and white. They are so far ahead of us in the money that they've accumulated over this expansive time of America for various of reasons: entrepreneurship, innovative, manufacturing, construction, the Industrial Revolution, the technology revolution, and especially slavery, when a lot of wealth in excess, if they accumulated billions, if almost not trillions of dollars, if they measure the money then to now, was made from handfuls of corporations and white people that helped them build this incredible wealth gap. And the fact that we don't have a gold rush like that, and most of the times we always late to the gold rush for whatever reason. Industrial revolution, this new technology revolution, and then it's now this weed gang revolution, which is what we should be at the forefront of based on how we was treated in prison from it. But okay, that's another story. Again, we are so far behind in the closing the wealth gap. We can't even, black folks can't even begin to imagine the depth of the wealth that white people have access to. Having access to banks, financial institutions, investors, venture capitalists, families and friends. They have so many avenues where access to capital is at their fingertips. And so I said, okay, if that's the case, because we are so far behind, we can't even begin to think about closing the wealth gap. So we should stop that conversation right now, today as we speak. As you subscribe to this, Speak the Truth with Carl West, we should get out of our head about closing the wealth gap. It will never happen. We can't even begin to put a dent in it. No way, no how. Just ain't gonna happen. Impossible. So stop using it as a barometer. Let's go with what we can do on our end to solve concerns, because the wealth gap, closing the wealth gap, accumulating wealth is meant to solve some of our concerns. Better education, better health care, more suitable living conditions and places, building communities, building families. That's what building wealth can do for you. It can extend your life expectancy, give you a quality of life that you so deserve and desire. We still do that. We can still build wealth, but we got to look at it differently now, because I can tell you some other stories that trip me out about that wealth gap thing, and that is about what we need to do as blacks is to close the poverty gap. How do we close the poverty gap? And we have to come together as a community, as educators, scholars, business people, and have that be our primary focus. How do we close the poverty gap within our communities? How do we bring more people to prosperity? How do we not eliminate, but take more people out of poverty into prosperity? That should be our focus. How do we take as many people as possible out of poverty and bring them to prosperity? That should be our focus. That means we have to go to the community, we have to evaluate it seriously, we have to look at it critically, and we have to figure it out. But I think it's easy. As I remember working for the Board of Trade. Tell a story. And I got a chance to be around, which is what opened my eyes up to all the things that I do now. Being at the Board of Trade and learning how to invest in stocks. Penny stocks, for that matter, definitely. I got in on the early end of penny stocks. I remember when somebody hooked me up to Viagra when it was in its infancy stage, getting ready to go public, getting ready to go live, and it was $1.10, and I bought 1,000 or so shares back then. And of course, that stock went on to be at one point maybe $1,000 share stock at the height of its time when that thing exploded on America, the Viagra thing. I remember it clearly because I was like, wow. I had a couple of more penny stocks that I had invested in that made some money for me. Okay, that's neither here nor there. But I remember white boys would come to the Board of Trade. They would look like they just got through walking the earth. Just walked the earth. Decided to find themselves. Or either they were alcoholics, drug addicts, but they came in looking like it, and asking for particular people. Clearly somebody said, this is my interpretation, if you want to get your life right, if you're finally ready to get your life right, go ask for so-and-so, so-and-so. And they would see me at my desk, at my station, because I seen the traders when they came in and out every day. And I knew most of them by their acronyms, they numbers, they letters on their colorful jackets, or either I knew them by name if they was more personable. So most of the time when a person came, I knew what they was talking about, and they said to meet them there by my station where I was at, and they would. And the person would come and get them. Come and get them. And in 6 months, I will see that same dude come back past my desk. Now he's a regular trader making millions of dollars. And it freaked me out to see that level. I hadn't even been in business. I was still working. I saw that happen. I will not exaggerate to you. I saw that happen at least 50 times in the 6 years that I worked there. I saw it happen at least 50 times in the 6 years that I worked there, where somebody came off the street, destitute, broken, spirit gone, but he had one main factor, and I assume this is what led him there, led somebody to recommend him there, led somebody that said they would meet him there. He wanted to get his life right. And so as time went on, I got a chance to really dive into what that looks like, especially after I was getting ready to go leave shortly and start my own journey into entrepreneurship. So I started asking this one particular guy, never forget his name, is Murray. Last name was Murray. Big white dude, used to play football actually. And he, family was a trader. Granddaddy was a trader. Father was a trader. He was a trader. He was a cool guy. Just come by and chat with me. And I asked him, I said, hey, man, what's up with that? What's up with these cats that come in, you take them, and they become millionaires? And is that how it's done? He was like, man, he said, Carl, it's about, and he told me, he said, about building allies. I said, what that look like? What does that mean? That word probably was brand new to me. I'm 25, 26 years old, maybe 27, somewhere in that range. That word was something that I had been accustomed to hearing regularly. So I'm like, what's that look like? And he said, Carl, look, it's about building allies, man. Yeah, I made a lot of cats millionaires, them and others. Cats, those cats who you talked about. Because this particular guy, I said there was about 50 times that happened. He probably was responsible for maybe 10 of them. He was the single guy that was responsible for more than the most. He had 10 persons that I had described that came to him, and he took away, whisked away, and came back. Now the cat walking through the hallway with his jacket on, cleaned up, standing up. Now he's a millionaire trader, independent trader, making money. I'm probably still working for the guy, but still making money. That's how the system was played down there. He said, Carl, it's about allies, bro. It's about allies, making allies. He said, let me give you an example of why it's important to do that. Why it's important to do that. I want y'all to subscribe, please. He said, Carl, imagine if in this business that I'm in as a trader, in any business, you can lose your money. One bad trade, you can lose a lot of money, if not all of it. It has happened to people. He said, by building these allies, I've put on, like you say, maybe 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 dozen people that I've made millionaires, multimillionaires. He said, if something ever happens to me, not just trading, physically something happens to me, I lose, get hurt, injured. I got a pretty good lifestyle, Carl. I mean, you can imagine. If you cannot, and he explained it to me, I didn't go into all that. But he said, if I went broke on the board, he stayed with that. If I went broke trading, lost all my money, my wife, who is accustomed to a certain lifestyle, would never have to give it up, won't have to worry about selling the home because I can't pay the mortgage. My kids in college, ain't got to worry about taking them out because I can't pay. The cars that I drive, I ain't got to worry about the car note. All the things that I have accumulated that cost to live, I don't have to worry about those things because I got these allies. And guess what? They will cover it for me. One will cover the mortgage. One will pay my children way at school. One will pay car notes if I have them. One will make sure that my lifestyle doesn't change. Each one of those men that I made millionaires will ensure that my life doesn't change because guess what? I will return. I will get back. I will make my money back. It may take a while. I can't tell you how long or when, but while I'm waiting, I don't have to change my lifestyle unless I choose to. Because those folks who I made millionaires, the allies, will take care of me. I was freaking blown away again for a second, third, fourth time. And it dawned on me the way this worked. But here's the part where I was fooled, Dad. No disrespect to my people. I was fooled. I thought that the minute I started my business, I quit this job, which I knew I was going to do to come start my business. All I had to do is go tap on some millionaire, wealthy black people, and they would have the same thought process that these cats would have, and they would put me on. That's what I thought. And I went and looked for them. And I ain't gonna tell you the cats that I looked for because I don't want to bring their names to the forefront. They good people, but they just didn't get it the way they got it. They still probably don't get it to this day the way they got it. Because I know other cats who went to them and they didn't get taken care of. Not that they owe anybody nothing, but it was the bigger picture. The bigger picture. Allies. They all part of the same tribe. They didn't do it down at the World Trade to black people. They did it to all white people that looked like them. Maybe came from where they came from. Maybe shared the same fraternity. Probably shared the same high school or college. Probably grew up in the same neighborhood. Something that brought them together that made one take a chance on the other, and the other allowed him to take a chance on him and said, I will not fail you. And I was so discouraged when for years I tried that model. Of course, I didn't let it hinder me. I just kept that in my head. What he did was increasing the wealth gap. What they were doing was increasing the wealth gap. They made more people's millionaires, built up families, communities, allowed that man, if he had those men, if they had children, to take care of their children, if they had wives, to care for them, if they was going to get a wife, to make sure that they are situated and secure, which all men want to be, and the marriage is secure. That's what they was doing. They was increasing the wealth gap slowly. How many times that probably goes on all over the world? I saw it up close and personal. Blew me away. So knowing that that's not the case in our community, unfortunately, and if it is, it's not to any large magnitude, because I should be seeing more millionaires or more cats prospering in our neighborhoods who have the ambition, the desires, the innovative spirit, the intellectual capital. But for some reason, a lot of cats have to leave those spaces and go do something else because they cannot get taken care of. They cannot be a part of the wealth building mechanism. So now, let's go past that. Now, what we got to do, I'm past that. I didn't like it, bothered me. I see these men still to this day. I don't worry about it. It's the life I chose to do this. I do it. I don't complain. And I did it well. And I'm good. 25 years later, I don't know what it looks like for nobody else. For me, it looks like a damn good situation in terms of living a dream and having a sense of freedom. But we have to go out and create more millionaires, create more allies. We have to invest in our people, our best and our brightest minds, from the projects, from the ghettos, to the HBCUs, to traditional colleges. We have to recruit and invest in people. People who will create millions, that will also create jobs, that will give us prosperity, that will give us opportunity to close the poverty gap. We have to take people from poverty to prosperity. Forget trying to close the wealth gap between white and black and other. Ain't never gonna happen. It'll be a million years if will never happen. If this thing stayed equal as it is today in the progression of life, it'll take us a million years. It will still never close it. Not one bit would even dent it. Because they understand the flow of money. They understand how to create gold rush. They create all types of avenues for money. They've created the new betting. They've created the new weed crisis, which is a crisis, but now it's a prosperity, it's a gold rush. They've created this whole new betting thing. Well, all these betting companies now making billions of dollars betting on sporting events legally now. They created these things, and we have to create wealth building mechanisms. And then we have to also create people to build wealth. We have to have allies to close the poverty gap. We have to invest in our emerging leaders, established leaders, businesses, black people. We have to do this because we can't worry about the closing the wealth gap. We have to decrease the poverty gap in our neighborhoods. That's how we will win this game. And we can win it with that focus. We can't measure it against closing it amongst whites and others because it ain't ever gonna happen. I need you to subscribe, okay? So I can keep talking. We have to close the poverty gap. It's not the wealth gap that's separating blacks. It's that poverty gap. We can't allow the poverty gap to increase, the haves and the have-nots. That's going to continue to create dissension. You keep having people in poverty, they don't vote, they don't participate in the process, they don't do anything except they just only in survival mode. We can't have all 35 to 45% of our community in survival mode. We have to decrease that number. Closing the poverty gap is the only way to do it, brothers and sisters, and men out there of influence and wealth, athletes, business people, talk shows, media companies, wherever you've built your wealth, construction, you have to start thinking about how to help close the poverty gap in the neighborhoods that most likely you come from. We have to focus on that. We do that, and we can have a more sense of pride in what we've done and how we've served. It's even more important now as we see, DEI, the loss of jobs because people said we ain't for that. Other people, they got a right to feel the way they want to feel. That's how they feel that way. But we have to feel the way we feel so that when those people get let go, the people who are building wealth in our community can pick them up. Or we can show them the way, help them start businesses, take them to another place. There has to be victories in some of our defeats. We have to have tremendous victories in some of our tremendously unfortunate, disappointing defeats. We have to create that. It's going to take the wealthy in our communities like it took the wealthy at that Board of Trade that took those men, 50 at least. They took them and made them all allies. They helped them increase the wealth gap. They helped them build wealth and prosperity so that they can all live in harmony amongst themselves like they choose to do, which is okay with me. Should be okay with anybody. Everybody should have a right to live where they want to live, amongst where you want to live. Your own people are integrated. It's up to you, free country. That's why you invest in yourself to be free. Live how you want to live. But I'm telling us that brothers and sisters of my color, of my ilk, who are wealthy, got money from all levels, from all industries, from all professions, you had better start thinking about closing the poverty gap and putting your money to use for you instead of doing the things that you do with it now. Whatever you do, it's your business, I'm sure. I don't care about that. But we have to find a way to close the poverty gap. That's my main thing. And we can do that. Decrease the number of people in poverty. Bring more people to prosperity. That's the only thing I'm saying. Carl West, speak the truth. Hey, I'm out of here. One love.
Let the children play. They ain't feeling no pain. It's a beautiful day. Wake up in the morning, it's a wonderful feeling. Good to be living, feel it all in my